and they'll basically take America over the ancient way any day. And when you explain about certain things in the Bible, certain issues in the Bible, certain hot topics in the Bible, they rather, they're better off with the American way, this westernized way, you know. And the Most High didn't he only set this place up so it can be destroyed. When you really look at the finality of, all the things that has gotten us to where we are today, you know, starting with the foundation of America, what it was built off of. And people ignore these facts. They choose to ignore the facts about America. They choose to ignore the the outstanding atrocities that were done and that are still being done. People rather accept the way of of Satanism over the Most High's word. And that's why the scripture says when you go into Slaka, when you go into the scriptures, it blatantly tells you, it shows you, that the Most High is basically, his ways are, you know, the perfect way. As you read the scriptures, Isaiah 6:16, it says, "Thus saith the Lord, stand ye in the ways and see, and ask for the old paths. Where is the good way? And walk therein, and ye shall find rest for your souls. But they said, we will not walk therein." Okay? So, and basically, that is the thought of our people, man. They rather be told smooth things, and they rather complete their consolation here in America. When America's destined to be destroyed. Um, with that, I pretty much cut the lesson. Like I said, it's pretty much an impromptu. Just some simple thoughts that I want to basically put out there. Looking up some words, and I ran into Western. Well, I was thinking on this Western civilization, how it's really against the fabric of or the essence of the Bible, and the old ways of the Bible, and there's tons of things when you look into the anthropology. There's tons of things, man, and you brothers, that's diligent. You can do your own studying, just go into the anthropology of ancient Israel, and the culture, and and the laws, on certain topics, and you can see that people's belief set, that they really not okay with the society norms of that of the ancient world, you know, um, like marriage out of puberty. They don't accept that. They made laws against that. Also, certain hot topics, man. Certain topics that people get roused up about, because they were born here in America and they only have a westernized view, so it's pretty much it's pretty much you know etched in stone how our people, what they believe in. They're not going to go back to the ways of the Lord. They're going to continue to seek after this so-called white man's his way, which he set up, and the laws that he set up. Okay. And what they have learned, you know literally being in a prison camp, born into a prison camp, which is America. America is nothing more than a prison camp. But like I said, it's an impromptu, something quick that I try to put together, without rehearsing or anything like that. Just some going into the westernized philosophy, westernized culture, and what it really is. But I you know what, I can look at one more thing, and just to point out, a fact. And I'm gonna go into, let me see, Bible Odyssey. All right, because even scholars know, man, certain things. I'm gonna read it. It says marriage in ancient Israel was very different from marriage today. Okay, and this is one topic of many. It says although there is a great deal we do not know about Israelite marriage, the Bible texts that speak about it tell us that many Israelite marriage customs were unlike those of modern Western societies. First, although girls were expected to be virgins when they got married, according to Deuteronomy 22 and 21, could even be put to death if they were found to be men, Salakia. It says could be even put to death if they were found not to be. Men were allowed to marry multiple women, which we know in this society doesn't accept that. They call it polygamy, which you see in the article. It says it is hard to know how common polygamy, which entailed a husband being married to more than one woman, really was in ancient Israel. Also, and just read the story of Solomon, because he had 700 wives and over I believe 300 concubines. So a total of 1,000 women that he dealt with. And that's documented. It says the evidence suggests that compared to women, men have more control over whom they marry. For example, Samson chooses his own wife in Judges 14, even though his parents disapprove of the match. Most likely, girls were married around puberty, whereas men were somewhat older. You see, and what are the ages around puberty when a woman meets, finally becomes a woman, which the scripture says the flower of her age, meaning she blossoms into a woman. All right. That means she's able to have children. Okay. And in ancient Israel, we were right out of puberty, we were married. Okay. And that's just the reality behind the social norms of ancient Israel. And then that's not accepted today because why? Because it's set up by the so-called white man Esau. Now we abide by his rules because he's in power, and we have to go by the rule, the rule of the land, or the law of the land, as they say. So we can't break his laws or we get put in jail. But the Lord is coming to reestablish his way. As the scriptures say, man, heaven and earth shall pass away, but my word shall remain, which is his law. It's synonymous with one another. Okay, but as you can see, and it's going to say, man, that the westernized world doesn't, take hold to these. They deem this is basically taboo or something that, shouldn't be done anymore. And that's the whole being of the new world coming into existence. But as you read Jeremiah 6:16, it says what it says. This thus saith the Lord, stand ye in the ways and see and ask for the old paths, where is the good way, and walk therein, and ye shall find rest for your souls. See? And you shall find rest for what? The old way. That's the good way. But they said, we will not walk therein. And Jacob always have an excuse why they don't want to follow the Lord. But in the kingdom, everything's going to be set up righteously. Right now, it's not set up righteously. And our people can't see a kingdom set up under all righteousness. And as the scriptures say, Hebrews 8:10, we're going to be made perfectly. We're not going to be going off. The Lord is going to mend our hearts, man. He's going to change our hearts completely to the fact we're not going to know evil. I mean, we're going to know evil, but we're going to do nothing but good. Our people can't see that. They're only they can only see what they see now. And pretty much going back to this article, it says, let me see. It says, though unions were generally based more on economic or social considerations than romantic ones, some texts include the Song of Songs, show us that ideas of passion and sexual love were also present in ancient Israel. All right, so we did love our women. The scripture says, treat your woman as you would treat yourself. And there wasn't. The women were highly, how can I say, mature. They weren't spiteful and loud and obnoxious. They were respectful. They knew the gravity of respect and reverence toward their husband. And they listened and they bowed themselves and they were obedient. And the women today, they're very disobedient. They're very egotistic. They try to be dominant. And in an ancient world, women really had no say so when it came to dominance, because they knew who was the ultimate alpha male. That was their husband, and they praised him. But nowadays it's different. So as the scriptures say, man, hey man, Psalms 82. Let me see. Slakia 82. The earth is out of course, man. Let me see. Right, 82 and 5. It says they know not. Neither Psalms 82 and 5. They know not, neither will they understand. They walk on in darkness. America is darkness. All the foundations of the earth are out of course. All right. So the Lord's saying, man, the whole world is out of course, man. It's not lining up with what He established from the beginning. All right. And what is coming? Utter destruction is coming, man, because of such things that's been taking place, the homosexuality, so on and so forth. All right. It says, in order to marry a girl, a man would give her father a gift. And you know what? And to note another thing, a lot of these dudes that call themselves Israelite, they have a problem with their daughter being married out of puberty because they used to Esau's ways, man. One new thing is that the Apostle Tahar, they got a video of him talking about his niece. But when you go into the scriptures, and I'm going to read, it's in this article, that you can marry your niece, okay? And there's a law on whose nakedness you're not allowed to see. You're not even allowed to see your own daughter's nakedness or your own son's nakedness or your father's wife's nakedness, all right? Certain individuals who the Lord won't allow you to marry. But your niece is in the ancient world. She's pretty much allowed to be married by her uncle, and that's one thing that our people will not get down with. And now you got people saying that's wicked. That's wicked. Well, you're wicked because you don't know the ways of the Most High. Okay, and I'm gonna read that just to edify the point. All right. It says biblical text, and it's right here. All right. These are ancient. These are scholars, by the way. All right. People who study the Bible for a living. So every day. All right. It says biblical text make clear that marriage is between cousins or strongly preferred. All right. And when you deal with, and this all throughout the scriptures, who you think Jacob married? All right. Leah and Rachel, who were who? They were his cousins. They were his mother's brother's daughters. All right. That's how simple it is. But y'all treat it as it's some ill thing. No, it goes back to the scriptures. All right. And that's why the scriptures talk about washing, getting rid of the old man and washing your mind, from these customs that you grew up in here in America and absolutely have no idea that is satanic, and it's against the Most High's his ways, man, his culture that he created, the perfect society that he created. All right, marriages with non-Israelites are treated differently by different texts, although some passages either limit or prohibit marriages between Israelites and non-Israelites. And a lot of things that happen, all right, that people can't explain, they are what we call, it's a word that I want to use, situation. It depends on the situation, man. And that's where you got to be spiritual. And that's where spirituality comes from, man. A lot of things are situational in the scriptures. But, our people, like, they want to do what they want to do. It says other biblical texts, such as the book of Ruth, and are tolerant to intermarriage. See? And, Ruth was of another nationality. She was a Moabite, And I believe she married David's grandfather, if I'm not mistaken. Leviticus 18 prohibits incest. Now, what is incest? You want to go into the word incest? I'm going to go into the word incest real quick. Because there's people out there that don't understand the meaning. Sexual relations between people classed as being too closely related to marry each other. It says what? The crime of having sexual intercourse with a parent, child, sibling, or grandchild. All right? And that's that simple. But they want to call somebody wicked because it's lawful to marry your niece. According to the scriptures, according to the Bible. All right? Let me find that. All right? So I can put that all to shame. It says, let me see. Oh, here we go. Leviticus 18 prohibits incest, but does not include uncle-niece marriages, which are prohibited in some later Jewish communities, all right, including those responsible for writing the Dead Sea Scrolls, which are not a part of the scriptures, all right. I'm gonna read this last part, all right. And you know about this Levirate marriage, where widows marries her husband's brother if her husband has died without children. All right, so that happened in Israel as well. In conclusion, not all biblical texts are in agreement on every issue regarding marriage, suggesting that different Israelite communities and authors diverse viewpoints on marriage and that Israelite view. And that's them basically trying to change the ways of the Most High and the laws that he created. They're trying to tweak certain things. Let me see. Here's the point I want to bring out. Many biblical customs would be unfamiliar or even objectionable to many people living in Western societies today. Still, when we read the impassioned romantic poetry of Song of Solomon, we realize that some things never change. All right. Oh, by the way, it's another thing in here. Let me see. And this is the nastiness of the scripture. It says the relationship between husband and wives was not equal. All right, that ain't the part. Here's the part. Okay, here we go. It says men, though, could have multiple wives and concubines and were allowed to go to prostitutes. Thus, monogamy was a one-way street in this culture. All right. So men could go to where? Prostitutes. Because guess what? It's in the scripture. I believe Judah's son, one of his sons, basically married a woman that was a harlot. Or she dressed up as a harlot. And then when you read Hosea. But guess what? Like it says, many biblical customs would be unfamiliar. See, and a lot of our people are basically they ignorant of the fact, or they simply don't know. They're unfamiliar or even objectionable. See, to many people living in Western societies. What? So that means what? You have Israelites that are influenced by Western philosophy, and they try to bring that within the scriptures, and it doesn't work. If you claiming that you believe in God, man. Let me see. I got a few more precepts. John 4:23. But the hour cometh, and now is, when the true worshipers shall worship the Father in spirit and in truth. What is the truth? His laws that he made, man. Period. It says, for the Father seeketh such to worship him. God is a spirit, and they that worship him must worship him in spirit and in truth. All right, so is American philosophy true? Hell no, man. All right. Here we go. John 14:17. Even the spirit of truth, whom the world cannot receive. Who is the world? This current world that we live in also. Because it seeth him not, neither knoweth him, but ye know him, for he dwelleth in you, with you, and shall be in you. So a lot of people call him the apostles wicked. They're wicked for being presumptuous. Okay? Let's just get that straight. All right? A lot of them are ignorant to the fact of the culture. All right? And a lot of them are Western civilization Israelites. They have no clue about their culture. All right? And neither are they trying to understand their culture, man. Here's Jeremiah 5:1, man. Because the scriptures talk about them knowing. Well, I'll read it. It says, run ye to and fro fro through the streets of Jerusalem, and see now and know, and seek in the broad places thereof. If ye can find a man, if there be any that execute judgment, that seeketh the truth, and I will pardon it. And though they say the Lord liveth, surely they swear falsely. All right? And that's our people. All right? O Lord, are not thine eyes upon the truth? Meaning his ways, man, because his ways are truth, his law. Thou hast stricken them, but they have not grieved. Thou hast consumed them, slavery, but they have refused to receive correction. They have made their faces harder than a rock. They have refused to return. Return to what? The old paths, man. Jeremiah 6:16. All right? It says, therefore I said, surely these are poor. They are foolish, for they know not the way of the Lord, nor the judgment of their God. I will get me, see, and I just explained that. I just went through the tradition and the social norms of the ancient empire of Israel. And you see what they're saying today, man. These guys are totally oblivious to what the will of the Lord is, his way, you know. Like it just says, they know not the way of the Lord, nor the judgment of their God. I will get me unto the great men, and will speak unto them, for they have known the way of the Lord. All right, like our apostles and elders, they have known the way of the Lord and the judgment of their God. But these have altogether broken the yoke and burst the bonds. What? Of this westernized philosophy, which ain't nothing but Satan, you know, and he holding on to you guys, you people's heels, man. Those that disagree with certain customary things that of old that we still believe in, and that in the kingdom is going to be established. Okay, it's going to be established in the kingdom, man, regardless if you like it or not. You know. So pretty much it. You know, I pretty much said my piece. You know, I just want to give all praises to Yahweh by Shemi Awashai and double honesty, the apostles and elders at Great Millstone. And you know what? And this lesson just proves that our people, they want to stay here in America. They believe in America wholeheartedly, this wicked place under the rule of the so-called white man. They don't want to get down with the Lord's, his way. And it also proves that when you show Israel the real way of the Lord, they deny it. You know, the scriptures say that, man. Isaiah 30, I believe in 20, you know, the prophets shall not be hid in the corner anymore, you know. So the Lord is, man, he's making this thing broad, man. He's making his way known, and not the so-called white man's. That's falling, and the Lord's word, his word is rising, man. So with that, I'll just say shalom.